Welcome to another video of Florida Man Math. In this video, we're taking a look at a request from a student in pre-calc. And the question reads, evaluate the function at the indicated values. The function being f of x equals x squared minus 4. Now this is a four-part question, and it's just asking us to evaluate at these various x coordinates. And before we get carried away doing these specific evaluations, let's recall that we need to solve using Pemdas. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And this is the order of operations that'll guide us through how to evaluate this correctly. And the details matter, especially with negative signs. So we'll go with f of negative 3. And wherever we see x, we just plug in the value of negative 3. And it's really good practice to wrap the value in parentheses first. So it's negative 3 quantity squared minus 4. Now, this notation for squaring just literally means take the thing and multiply it by itself. So following Pemdas, we're operating on exponents, turning that into a multiplication. So it's negative 3 times itself. Multiplication comes before subtraction, so we'll do this before we do that. Negative 3 times negative 3. First, we notice that the signs are the same, and so they'll cancel out. Negative times a negative is a positive, and so we have a positive here, and then 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 4 comes along for the ride, and we have our first answer. F of negative 3 is equal to 5. All right, and let's move on to f of positive 3. So we've got f of 3 is equal to, again, wherever we see x in the function value, just replace it with the number 3. And as always, it's good practice to wrap in parentheses. That way we don't have any mistakes for minus signs. 3 quantity squared is just 3 times itself. The minus 4 comes along for the ride. 3 times 3 is 9 minus 4. And this also equals 5. So we have f of 3 equal to 5. Our next problem involves f of 0. So again, we just wrap 0 in parentheses wherever we see x, and then follow Pemdas. So 0 times 0 minus 4. 0 times 0 is 0. And then finally, 0 minus 4 is just negative 4. So that's our third answer here. And we're ready to do the last. So this is our first fraction, but as long as we follow Pemdas, it shouldn't be too much trouble. So we've got f of 1/2 is equal to, again, the quantity 1/2 squared minus 4. So going step by step, we have 1/2 squared turns into 1/2 times itself, minus 4. And like before, we're going to multiply, but this time we're doing fractions. So the rule for fractions is multiply across. So that's 1 times 1, all over 2 times 2. So 1 times 1 turns into 1, 2 times 2 turns into 4, and this minus 4. Now at this point, we're in a position to simplify. We need to get this fraction combined with this integer. The way to do that is to recognize that 4 is the number 4 over 1, and furthermore, that we need a common denominator. The most common denominator, or the least common multiple rather, is going to be 4 here, so we should multiply top and bottom by 4, and proceed. So we get 1/4 minus 4 times 4 is 16, all over 1 times 4, which is 4. And now that the fractions have the same denominator, the common denominator, we can combine like so. 1 minus 16, all over 4. 1 minus 16 is negative 15 over 4. And this might be an acceptable format depending on your answering key. But if we needed to do, say, long division, we could also figure out what that is in a mixed number format. So off to the side, we have negative 15 over 4. That's just going to be the negative of the following answer. So we'll have 15 in here, 4 there. 4 goes into 15 3 whole times, 4, 8, 12. But it doesn't go in a fourth time because that would be over the limit of 16. We can only go up to 15. So we got 3 whole times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. And 4 can't go into 3. So at this point, we could either write as a decimal or just say that 3 divided by this is our remainder. Recall that we have to take care of the minus sign here. So our total answer is negative 3 3/4. Either version is acceptable. All right, so we've got our final answer. F of 1/2 is negative 3 3/4, which is equivalent to negative 15/4. Now all of these were perfectly valid ways to solve, but I just want to point out an alternative way to find these answers too. So let's take a look back at our original question again. We have f of x equals x squared minus 4. And what I see about this is that it's a difference of perfect squares. Namely, f of x is equal to x squared minus 4 can be represented as 2 squared. The reason why this is helpful is because of the following identity, where you have a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b times b minus a. And this can be verified after foiling out all the terms and collecting the ones that survive. So with x taking on the role of a and 2 taking on the role of b, we can factor in the following way. F of x also equals the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x plus 2. So let's try again plugging these ones in, see what we get. We have f of negative 3 is equal to, wherever I see x, just plugging in the argument of negative 3, minus 2 times negative 3 plus 2. So now we use Pemdas to evaluate these. Inside the parentheses first, there's only subtraction to occur, an addition over here. Negative 3 minus 2 turns into negative 5. Negative 3 plus 2 is the same as 2 minus 3. That'll be negative 1. And like we saw before with canceling out signs, these signs are both negative, so the total answer will be positive. We get 5 times 1, which is 5. And that checks out over here for f of negative 3. Let's try f of positive 3 now. So again, wherever I see x, replace it with 3. 3 minus 2 times 3 plus 2. 3 minus 2, that's pretty simple. That's just 1. 3 plus 2, also nice, is 5. 1 times 5 is 5, and that checks out over here. Let's do the same thing with f of 0 now. So wherever I see x, just replace it with 0, and use Pemdas to proceed. So 0 minus 2 is just negative 2. Keep that in parentheses. 0 plus 2 is positive 2. And then a negative times positive is a negative. And then 2 times 2 is 4. And so we can check to see that that's the same answer here. And we've got one last function evaluation to do. So this is f of 1/2 is equal to 1/2 minus 2 times 1/2 plus 2. The reason why I wrote it like this is because we see that we have a fraction here, and this isn't a fraction yet, so let's make it into a fraction. Same thing over here. And now we have the same problem as we did before with f of a half. We need to get a common denominator. The least common multiple between 1 and 2 is just 2. So multiply top and bottom of that by 2. And for the same reasons over here. So the next line would read 1/2 minus 2 times 2, which is 4, all over 1 times 2, 2. Other factor is 1/2 plus 2 times 2, which is 4, over 1 times 2. That's 2. And now we can combine these fractions across because they have the same denominators. So this is 1 minus 4 all over 2 times 1 plus 4 all over 2. So scrolling down a bit and erasing our previous work. We have 1 minus 4 up top. That'll be negative 3 all over 2 times 1 plus 4. So that'll be 5 over 2. And now, like fractions before, we can multiply across. So it's negative 3 times 5. All divided by 2 times 2. The result of that will be negative 3 times a positive 5. You know the answer's got to be negative. And then it's 3 times 5 is 15. The negative comes from the fact that it's negative times a positive. The signs are different. Then 2 times 2 is 4. And we arrive at our same answer of negative 15/4. And so we could also go through again and prove that that's equal to negative 3 3/4. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you want more content like this, please consider subscribing. As always, thank you for watching.